Thank you. Firstly, I'm Richard Jackson. I'm the Director of Sustainability for UCL, and I'm here to really kind of introduce these awards today and take us through the awards. I'd like to thank everybody for coming along today. It's so good to see such a large turnout in person, but I also like to welcome and thank those people who are joining us online as well. So we're doing this as a hybrid meeting. It's really kind of my huge honour and privilege to lead this team, but also to lead our work at UCL around sustainability. And today's event is really a sort of celebration of all the things that you do in contributing to our work and our drive to be a more sustainable university. There's a bit of housekeeping before I start, so I have to say this. From fire safety, if we hear a fire alarm during this event, then if you can make your way through the fire exits onto the Wilkins Terrace. Hopefully we won't get a fire alarm, and I'll keep my fingers crossed on that. In terms of the structure of the event, we're going to hear from three people. I apologise that I'm the first of those. But then actually we're going to hear from two great individuals. Leanne Case, who's one of our alumni, has come back to talk to us about her career, what she's been doing in sustainability. And then we're going to hand over to the Provost and hear from the Provost around the university and the direction the university is taking. After that, we get into celebrating your work and what you've been doing over the past year to contribute to some of our ambitious targets. So we're going to start with giving out the awards for Green Impact and LEAF and thanking those teams. Then we've got some special awards for some outstanding sustainability plans. And then we've got 5 special awards to reflect the contributions that individuals make, whether that's through the research they undertake, through the work they're doing with their departments, and some of the high impact work that helps us to become a much more sustainable university. Let me start by sort of my presentation by, I suppose in some ways, reflecting kind of where we are as an institution. This is our 10th Sustainability Awards. 10 years ago when we started doing this, we had, I think, 10 teams who took part in Green Impact. We had the first awards down in the old refectory, for anybody who can remember that. It was a very quick occasion. I think we got all the teams up to receive their awards within 20 minutes. And unfortunately, the winners, by the time the winners stepped up, most people had disappeared. So there was about 4 of us who were clapping the winners, which is not the way actually you want to run an award ceremony, as I learnt at the time. But I think over those 10 years, what I think we've learned as an institution is the power of delivering sustainability, the power of trying to reduce our environmental impact is through engaging with our community. And it's been through the development of Green Impact and through the development of LEAF that we've been able to catalyse the kind of change that we deliver as an organisation. Over the 10 years, we've seen a huge reduction in our impact, reduced our carbon emissions by 28%. We're putting more solar panels on roofs. When I first started, the estates team was celebrating achieving a BREEAM Very Good on the new Union building. Well, having come from the Olympic Park and delivered some amazing venues, I just felt that really lacks ambition and we need to push ourselves more. So we set ourselves a goal to try and achieve BREEAM Outstanding on buildings. We've got 2 BREEAM Outstanding on buildings and we're trying to drive that further. The ambition here has always been here, but it's about kind of trying to push that more with our community and with our teams. Of course, engagement has been important through this. So we've been working with the Students' Union to make sure our students can be more engaged. We'll hear more about the union a bit later on. But also it's been about engagement through programmes like Green Impact and LEAF. And what really pleases me is year on year we've had more teams taking part in these 2 programmes. I think this year we've got around about 130 teams who've either done Green Impact or LEAF. So we're just kind of growing more and more. More people are really interested in taking action in their areas, and that's really important to us. The other thing that's been really important to me is about showing leadership internally, but also to the sector. And I think when you look across this room and see how many people are taking part in our programs. And then when I go and talk to my counterparts in university, it makes me really proud to be able to think that, we're really driving change, both ourselves, but also with other organisations. Two things that actually really do kind of give me a sort of sense of pride that we've done over the past 10 years. When I first arrived, we really struggling to work out how do we bring sustainability into some of our minor projects that we undertake. And we undertake about sort of 70, 80 minor projects across the estate every year. And so we worked with the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors to develop something called SCAR. It doesn't stand for anything, but SCAR is basically a methodology by which we can bring some sustainability measures into those small projects. UCL led that. UCL did the work to put that methodology in place. That's now widely used across the sector. That's about us being a catalyst for change. The second thing, and many of you taking part in this, is LEAF, the Lab Efficiency Assessment Framework. We identified and worked with Martin to develop the LEAF programme. The opportunity with LEAF was not just about improving our lab environments, but recognising that a lot of the universities have lab environments that we want to try and influence. So, of course, we've got a lot of teams who are using LEAF now and creating change within their labs, but we also have a lot of other institutions who are using it. We've got 60 institutions, actually I think it's about 80 institutions, 72 institutions, and actually what we're also finding now is the private sector are really interested in using this. So this is about us being a catalyst to wider change. This is not just us resting on our laurels, but actually trying to drive change, because this is what sustainability is about. This climate change is not going to be influenced by UCL just reducing itself and being net zero. Climate change is about everybody taking that action. And so what we've got to do is use the power of our research, the power of our community to try and drive change. And that's why I think it's important that we celebrate the change that you've brought about today. Of course, as we look forward to the next 10 years, I hope that we'll work more, have more teams engage with us. We've only got 65% of our labs who are using LEAF. I want 100% of the labs. I want more teams involved in green impact. But I think also we're seeing changes to the way the university is operating, which will help us to try and drive some of these goals that we've set ourselves around climate change, around reducing our waste, and that's not just the physical waste, but the waste in the energy that we use, and becoming that sustainability university that we want to become, and becoming the leader within the sector. Before I hand over to our first proper speaker, I want to just say a little bit about the awards today. So in terms of the structure of the awards, we're going to kind of read out a number of teams who we want to step forward and receive a commendation from us for your efforts. Now, I think when Chiara steps up, she's going to sort of give you the details of how we want you to move forward, move down the rooms. It's really quite important so we can kind of keep this moving and try and keep the awards on time and on schedule. But the two awards we've got, so for those people who've undertaken LEAF and Green Impact, we're going to give you a certificate. It's a piece of paper. It's not just a piece of paper. So we think long and hard about the awards because we don't want to just give you something which you toss away into the bin. We've worked with a separate organisation to provide seeded paper. So the paper actually you can put on the ground, put some water on it, and we start to see some wildflowers growing through that. Take it home, use it at home. It's fantastic. I've used it as well. It's brilliant. The second thing we wanted to do was not just give our major award winners, the individuals. We wanted to, I suppose in some ways, taking something home and just putting it on the shelf feels like quite an unsustainable thing to do. So we've also invested in some trees in the UCL Grove. That's to reflect all the individuals who've taken part in our Green Impact and LEAF programs this year. And that's saving 18,900 kilograms of CO2. So that's our thanks to you for all the work that you've been doing for us. And with that, I'm going to invite up Leanne Case. Now, before I do that, I hope you'll allow me to just say a little bit about yourself. So Leanne is a UCL alumni, and it's a real honour to be able to bring some of our alumni back to UCL to be able to talk about their experiences. She's a director at ASTIA, which is a global organisation committed to levelling the playing field in terms of investment. She's got an amazing international career, which I'm hoping we're going to hear about, over 2 decades. And she was appointed the chair of the Institute of Engineering and Technology's Sustainability and Climate Change Award for 2021. She graduated from us. She said to me, I actually can't remember when I graduated from UCL, but she graduated from us, I found out, in 2012 with an MSc in Urban Regeneration, and the same year she set up the Future Energy Forum. And, you know, hopefully what you'll get from her is just a huge inspiration of somebody who's been one of us, one of our students, and she's gone out into the world to really kind of drive change across the world. So if you join me in welcoming Leanne to speak to us.
Thank you, Richard. Hello, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here today. And as you can see, I've had quite a drastic haircut since that photo was taken. I can genuinely say that I was honoured to be invited today to join you, and I didn't expect to feel so emotional, but as I was also telling Richard, I missed my graduation. I was already living in Dubai at the time, so to come back after so many years for something so close to my heart, I couldn't be more pleased. And I think it's fair to say this invitation has been a gift in more ways than that, because I'm the kind of person who moves forward and doesn't think too much about what I did last week or last year. And in preparing for today, I really had to think about my time here at UCL. And that brought so strongly back to my memory sitting in Sir Peter Hall, lectures, who sadly is no longer with us. And what an honour it was to be a student of his. He was such an amazing man, and even though I work for an American company, I don't use this word lightly. He was a true inspiration and continues to be to me today in my search for professionalism and ongoing knowledge. So I've travelled a lot. In 2009, the year after I started my master's, I was appointed by Gordon Brown to set up Department of International Trade office in Baghdad. I remember sitting in a shipping container doing my economics assignment. But I was going to complete my master's come what may. And there hasn't been a country that I've been to in the world where the UCL name hasn't been known and respected. So over the past 20-something years, and exactly how many is going to remain my secret, I hope you haven't checked that. I've been really honoured and privileged to work at the highest levels of government, to advise major international corporations and work on 4 continents. But I've always believed, and I've always been driven by a desire to see much more diverse representation. I think if you look at me, you'll see a clue as to why at senior levels of government and institutions. And I've always believed that that would lead to a more sustainable and equitable society. But I'm sorry to tell you that currently my views are really challenged on that. So, more than 20 years working in economic and social development, environmental impact, and I've seen a trend. So I'm not sure if this is what you wanted me to say, but I was honestly going to share my experience. I think that's important. I've witnessed a trend, and this trend makes me angry. It's a trend where sustainability and diversity are much talked about, but not much invested in. So after 20 years of social and economic development, I have had a change of career, and as Richard said, I now work for an investment firm called ASTIA. And as you also said, ASTIA is a global leader with a mission to level the playing field in investment. And what I've told you already might give you a clue as to why I've made a career change. I've been involved in innovation for a long time. It's always been a facet of what I've done. But I think it's fair to say we are currently facing new challenges a global crisis, a pandemic, economic hardship, and climate challenge, innovation is going to be critical in solving every one of those challenges. And so for me, it was important to take what I'd learned, including what I learned here, and to really be at the forefront of funding innovation. But I'm sorry to say, investment's no different, and it's another area where people talk about change, but it's slow to come. And I can tell you that less than 10% of investment, and by investment I mean venture capital, currently goes to teams that include one or more women or diverse founders on a senior level. So you were asking me, Michael, about this earlier, and that's what I mean by investment. And at Astia last year, we saw $3 billion worth of opportunities. That means over 1,100 companies who want to bring innovation to the market, but there's simply not enough money going to them. So, sustainability, what does it mean to me? I love the word sustainability. It sounds so serious and so important, but I don't believe in it anymore. And I had to think very carefully about coming and saying that to you today, but I don't believe in things that don't mean anything to me. And what I do believe is that we've been doing a lot of things wrong. And what I do believe is that as individuals, as institutions, as organizations, we have to make the change. And that's why in 2010, I remember that, when I was at UCL doing my master's, I think I came back from Dubai to do a course with Dr. Joanne Williams, although I believe she's professor now. She taught a course on sustainability, and I still remember vividly being in that class because I absolutely loved that class. And one of the things that stayed with me was the session she did on approaches to sustainability, including localism. And I thought, that's what I do. I try to shop locally. I try to make a difference with what I have. But I also realized that localism at that stage was a fringe approach because all we talked about was globalization. That was the prize. And if you dared to talk about localism, you were a bit of a loony environmentalist. So I want to ask you today, how many of you seek to shop locally? Wow, isn't that an amazing change? So 12 years later, and things have really changed. So I think that it's fair to say that there is no perfect solution, and all we can do is make a change for ourselves. So the same year, 2010, sitting in Iraq, I went to meet a senior executive of a very well-known international bank, and I talked to him about local impact, about how they were doing business in Iraq. And he laughed at me, and he said, "You're a tree-hugging vegetarian." And I said I was a vegetarian, but sadly I'm not anymore. But today, we see banks talking about local positive impact all the time. And this week I saw an article about the Halifax making a very strong stand on diversity. So this is progress, right? Well, maybe, but not enough. So I think I would say again that to talk about sustainability and impact is simply not enough. And the reason that I no longer believe in sustainability is because there's too much talk and not enough action. I believe that the best we can do is to keep asking questions and seeking knowledge. And I think UCL is a leader, as Richard quite rightly and interestingly put out. And Sir Peter Hall was an example in someone who sought knowledge all of their life, who shared knowledge, and was never shy about saying that he had changed his opinions over time and why. So for me, what sustainability means today is clearly not what it meant 12 years ago when localism was a fringe idea. And I hope it's not what it's going to mean in 12 years' time. again, we need to hold organisations accountable. But that is why I've travelled all the way from Norfolk by train today to applaud you, the people who are taking action, no matter how large or small, and making a difference. Congratulations.
Thanks, Leanne. I think what you've just said actually just reinforces for me the importance of, I suppose, being honest about the direction we're taking. I think we have to be honest with ourselves, being transparent about the progress we're making, but also some of the challenges we face. But also, you know, we have to take sustainability and drive it forward. We have to show that we're taking action, and I think that's one of the big issues for us as a university, and partly why we celebrate the number of people here today. You know, I've always felt sustainability is quite an ambiguous word, and it means different things to different people. I think the important thing here is we recognise that we've got some massive challenges that Leanne has outlined, and our job is not necessarily just think about an ambiguous word. Our job is to try and drive change to deal with those massive challenges. That's the important thing. And when we kind of hold our hands up and say we shop locally, and when we come to these events, it's all about us taking action as individuals and as groups to try and drive and change and make a difference to tackle some of those big issues. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm going to invite the Provost up to say a few words to us. Provost.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Leanne, for that really challenging set of remarks, to which I'll return in just a moment. No, it's a thing that you may have heard me say before, but I don't think we can emphasize it enough, that when this university was founded, it was founded not for, as our founders said, polite learning, but for useful knowledge. And that means now inevitably harvesting the intellectual resources of the university to think about how together we can deal with some of the big questions. And there is no bigger question than the future of the planet. And of course, in our strategy consultation, we've been talking about bringing together about the seed funding of research, what we might do in teaching, but particularly how we might then, as an institution, live true to the knowledge that is being created within here, within the institution in various areas. And sustainability, it's a no-brainer, right? You say, we want to think about this in the sustainability area. Every student, every member of staff, everybody puts up their hand, every alumna, every person in our community. And that's terrific, because sustainability, it's per se a good thing. And then you hit the problem that Leanne talked about. The problem of collective action. The problem that we are actually together going to have to make decisions that will, in one way or another, make changes in the way that we run our day-to-day lives. Changes, the marginal difference of which might actually be quite small when you think about what's facing the planet. But the difference for us might be profound, and of course a big difference is made up of many small differences, and the signals that UCL sends about what it does into the wider community are so important. Let me give you an easy example. We spend about £3,000 per hour during the night keeping buildings open. And of course, a lot of buildings we have to keep open because they have essential scientific infrastructure that needs to be kept going because people are doing experiments at 2 in the morning or whatever. But a lot of what we do, we keep open because our students would prefer to study in the library at 3 o'clock in the morning. Not great for their mental health, but we want to provide it. Or perhaps somebody's left a book twice a year in their office and should be able to get it at 9 o'clock in a building that has security and heating and power. Small difference, £3,000 an hour in a £1.8 billion budget, well, as our energy bill goes next year from £19 million to £48 million, we might start to worry about the money. But in the meantime, what are we saying to our community, to the community of Bloomsbury and beyond, about what we really think about the environment? and how much we're willing to get out of our own way to actually make a difference. But of course, it's a collective action problem. There's one solution to that. The university could, by fiat, do all sorts of things. In universities, those of you who've had any leadership responsibility will know fiat almost never works. In fact, usually produces an allergic response. But what will make a difference are the people in this room. Agents for change across the institution that can have conversations with colleagues, with students, in student communities, that can make local decisions together with the university to encourage people to think about these things differently and to remember that it's our job not just to preach in the kind of way that Leanne was alluding to, not just to tick the box and feel good about ourselves because we like the planet, but actually to take action, and to take action together in the very many ways that are going to make a difference to the institution and beyond in our capacity to contribute to environmental solutions. Small, collective changes that will genuinely make a big difference in terms of our life. 28% in 10 years. That's not bad. But we've set ourselves a zero carbon challenge for 2030. That's only 8. Even my maths can tell we better pick up the rate. And that's going to require people like you right across the university as champions for change. And that was why I was so pleased to be asked to speak today. Because to have the opportunity to honour the work that you have been doing right across the university and to encourage you to keep going with the university and as a community in committing to the sort of action that Leanne has said is so necessary, that for me was a tremendous privilege. And so I do want to congratulate you all on what you've been doing and to encourage you to keep going in this very important fight. Thanks very much.
Wow. Hopefully, and it's really important to us that that we use. I hate to say the word use, but we have speakers here who challenge us. Who make us think about why we're doing this and what we're going to do next. And I think the two speakers we've heard today, have been incredibly challenging to us. Yes, we've got to take action. We've got to take action quicker. We need you as our agents for change. We need you to build on the work you've been doing for us. So it's really important that, we celebrate today, but then as we move away from today, we start to think about the next day and start to think about the action we want to take over the course of the next year and the years beyond that. We have some ambitious targets. We want to hit those targets, but we also want to be that driver for wider change, to really kind of put UCL much further on the map in terms of sustainability. I think we're one of the great universities in the UK on this at the moment, but actually, if I'm honest, I don't think the university sector is perhaps leading this particular area. I think UCL should be leading this area. That's where I want us to be. That's what I want to do in driving us forward. So big challenge for us. Right, let's get into celebrating your work. I'm going to invite Chiara up to start presenting the Green Impact Awards. Before I do that, I do want to just thank Chiara and Max for all their work they've been doing around Green Impact, supporting the teams. They are the people who sort of drive this forward amongst you. So, Chiara, do you want to step forward?
Yes, thanks, Richard. Before we launch into celebrating all of you here, I briefly thought it'd be useful to recap how we're going to do this thing, because there are so many people making sustainability possible that we want to celebrate today. So as Richard mentioned at the start, we're going to call people up in groups. And if you hear your group being named, if you're on Zoom, that's why we have this lovely setup here. Feel free to switch on your camera and you will be visible. You can wave at everybody here in the room. And if you're in the room, we thought these two central table lines would try to create a passageway so that you can come to the front, and the people sitting on the side maybe walking around there and coming to the front for the group picture. And then we'll wait a moment, and James will take a picture of everybody, and then you can sit down again. And after the award ceremony, you will be able to pick up the certificates that Richard mentioned, the seated certificates outside on the Wilkins Terrace. And you'll have another chance to take group photos as well, or individual photos with James here. Brilliant. Let's get started then with Green Impact. In case you don't know, when I joined UCL more than 2 years ago, I started working on Green Impact. And Green Impact is UCL's program to embed sustainability practices in UCL's offices with the help of many, many staff who volunteer their time and participate in the program. And when I joined, I was really excited, but I was also a little bit intimidated. Often when you hear about sustainability, it can be a lot like, am I vegan? Am I flight free? Am I zero waste? But working with the Green Champions at UCL actually showed me another really important factor and value that the other speakers have touched on already as well today, and that is the power of community. And I think you really don't know it until you experience it. But when I came here, starting remotely, and I was sometimes feeling tired or frustrated, and I interacted with some of the Green Champions here, I immediately felt this energy and renewed hope that we can really make sustainability possible. So I'm going to hand out bronze, silver, and gold awards now. But I also wanted to say these few words because I think bronze, silver, and gold really don't begin to reflect the change you're making possible in my life and the kind of impact you're having on the people around you here at UCL. Cool. So I'm going to start with the bronze teams, if we could move on. And if anybody is in the room and again on the camera is part of these teams, please feel free to come forward and switch on your camera. So we have the Bartlett Library, the Clear Climate Action Team, the Epidemiology and Public Health Team, the IOE Primary PGCE Team, the IOPD Green Team, the Main Library Office Team, the Medical Physics and Biomedical Engineering Team, the Philosophy Green Team, the SAISS DCP Team, the SSEES Library Team, and the UCL GOS ICH DVC Green Team. That's a mouthful. Congratulations. It looks like we don't have that many bronze teams in the room, unless anybody would like to come forward. If not, I'll thank the people who switched on their camera, and we'll move on to the silver teams. So for silver, we have the Bartlett Faculty Office, the EAR Institute team, the Green Laws team, the History of Art team, the IOE APO Green Crusaders, the Jewish Green team, the Main Library team, the Mathematics team, the Science team, the Senate House UCL Hub Office and Library team, the SSES Evergreens, the Student Registry Services, the Sustainable PPP, and the UCL Institute of Orthopedics Library. Congratulations. Brilliant. And now we get to gold. So we have the Arts and Sciences Basque team, the BSSC Green Onions team, the CBER team, the Central Library team, the Cruciform Hub team, the Dementia Research Center ION, the Department of Information Studies, the Division of Psychiatry, Green Bezier, ICH Library, the Institute of Archaeology Library, the Institute of Ophthalmology, there's so many, the IOE Library, the IOO Library, the Legion of Eunomia, I hope I said that right, the OVPA team. Woo, yeah, please come forward. But there's a few more that I will read out before we take the picture, because everybody's aiming for gold, or lots of people here at UCL. So where was I? PALS, Queen Square Library, the Royal Free Medical Library, the School of Pharmacy Library, UCL Careers, UCL Innovation Enterprise. Okay, now all of a sudden everybody's coming forward. I continue with the rest once. Maybe if you want to, is that somebody brave enough to kneel in front? I think this is not going to be a setup that works. I leave it to you. Yeah. It's not even all teams yet. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then we. Brilliant, yes. Congratulations. Oh, thanks.
Say gold.
Gold. Brilliant. Cool. Yeah, so if you slowly make your way back, and I'll start reading out the last group of gold awardees for Green Impact. We have the UCL Innovation and Enterprise Team, the UCL Language and Speech Science Library, the UCL Medical School, the UCL Mullard Space Science Laboratory, UCL Planning, UCL Queen Square Institute of Neurology Admin, and Wigfoot Stores. So if anybody is in the room, I'd like to come forward. If not on Zoom. Yeah, congratulations. We beat a new record. We got 52 teams submitting their Green Impact workbooks this year, so we're going from strength to strength. And now I'm handing over to Martin for the LEAF Awards.
Thank you for that, Kiara. So, greetings everybody. My name is Martin Farley. I run the LEAF program. I just want to say a few quick notes about where LEAF has gotten to in the years since we maybe last saw each other. So LEAF is our engagement program for labs, and it's in recognition that labs are extremely resource-intensive environments. They're responsible for approximately half our carbon emissions at UCL, half of our energy consumption, so they are a high-impact area, and that's exactly why we run the LEAF program. All the actions you take in this space have a great impact. We started LEAF here, I think, around 4 or 5 years ago now, and it started as some Excel sheets. And I need to thank UCL's ISD because they've done an incredible job at helping us develop LEAF into an online tool. I hope it's made everybody's life easier. This was the first year of using it. I see some nodding heads. It'll save your answers for next year, which is, I know will make it easier. So I do want to thank UCL's ISD for that. And as Richard mentioned, it's helped us spread LEAF to 72 institutions now in 12 countries. It's become the world's biggest Green Lab program. There weren't a lot of many others, but it is the largest now, and that's thanks really to all the work that you've done and the input that you've provided for it. Now, usually I point out a few teams that have done a fantastic job, and for once it's not PALS, although you always do a fantastic job. But I want to point out just a few teams that have taken it on as an institutional approach. I just think we've had a huge amount of LEAF submissions this year, and part of it is thanks to the work at ICH. They have managed to get 100% of their labs participating in the program. Katie is here at the back, and I know there's a sustainability team that's done a fantastic job. Equally, over at IOO and the Institute of Ophthalmology, I know they've done a fantastic job of taking a real team approach. And ION have done so as well, thanks to Steffi. So those teams in particular have gone institute-wide efforts, and I think it deserves a lot of credit because it's not an easy effort. And with that, this year we have 80 LEAF submissions, which is fantastic. So I will go through the names now. So it'll be the same as Chiara mentioned, is that we're going to do it in groups. Sorry, there's someone else I need to thank, which is Matthew, there at the back. If you've been involved with the LEAF program, you've probably come across Matthew this year. He's done a fantastic job of assisting with everything around LEAF. I couldn't have done it without him this year, so a big thank you to Matthew. And of course, the rest of the team, Joe, Chiara, and everybody. I'm going to start reading the names out, and we'll do it in groups again. I've got quite a few fun names to go through. So to start for the bronze, we will start with 6.02 Teaching Lab, the Brower Lab, Confocal and Light Microscopy Core Facility, the De Copy Lab, Dubowitz Neuromuscular Center, Electrochemical Innovation Labs, Experimental Physical Chemistry Salzman, Fielding Group, LG32, oh, I forgot to, that's part of it, a new one that we've come in last minute, which was the Jacques Lab, GGM MBRD First Floor, ICH Ground Floor, ICH Respiratory Infection, and I'm going to keep going for a few more bronze, Insect Lab Darwin Ground Floor, Kinsler, Klein, Lab 308 XNDU, LG30 Volpa Lab, LG31 Clark Group, LMCB Greeners, LG Scrambler Lab 204 and 209, Mass Spec Lab, and Mechanical Engineering Teaching Labs. Just put your hands together for that group, and then we'll do one more. Okay, so we have just a few more bronze to recognize, and those are the Pharmaceutics Tissue Culture Facility 301A, PUW 149, Rheumatology Labs RAIN, Snowden and Ferretti Lab, Standing Redmond 117, Thrasher Lab, TIGI Litchfield, UCL Genomics, Williams Lab, ZCR Cancer, Cruciform BSU, IOO BSU, and Royal Free BSU. Okay. I wanted to quickly, we're going to read out the silver now, but I just wanted to point out this year, one other thing we did with LEAF is we expanded the remit somewhat. So in the past, we've focused on sort of traditional wet labs. This year, we included, for the first time, some workshops and some BSUs, some biological service units. So they're going to be included in today, yeah, that's in recognition that there are other specialist environments that want to take action around sustainability, so we've been trying to support those more, and then we will integrate those into LEAF next year. So for silver now, the silver teams are the Barnes Lab, Carmalt and Parkin Research Groups, the Center for Clinical Microbiology, Department of Neuroinflammation at Wakefield Street, Department of Clinical and Movement Neuroscience, Ear Institute Labs, Fly Lab Rockefeller, ICH Lab Management Team, Institute of Healthy Aging, and the MRC Prion Unit at UCL, Institute of Prion Diseases. And I will keep going just with this last group. At Nanotechnology Lab Laboratory, Pallet Labs, IIT, Pharmaceutics Instrumental Laboratories, Thermal Analysis Laboratory, WHO PSRL, Women's Health Chinese Muse, Medical Physics and Biomedical Engineering, and KLB BSU and ICH BSU. I know some of you are here. Want to come up? Want to come up? And I know some of them are there in the back, but you're welcome up. Oh, I know you're here. Yes. Tushar, I was going to say, I know Tushar has done some work here with our workshop framework. We have one more. Thank you. Last but not least, I'm going to read our gold teams out. And our gold teams this year are ACBE, that's Bernard Katz's building, Amrolia ZCR, Annette Dolphin Lab, I know you're here, Brogan Eleftheriou, Clinical and Experimental Epilepsy Labs, Crompton Lab, Cruciform 3.4, I know you're here, Department of Neurodegenerative Diseases, Department of Neuromuscular Diseases, DSIS Labs, Department of Surgery, Fish Floor Anatomy, Flow Cytometry Core Facility Lab, GCLP Facility, Geography Labs, Graham Lab 101, Institute of Ophthalmology Labs, Kurian Lab, ZCR, PALS Leaf Lab, Kasim Lab, Sainsbury Welcome Center, I know you're here as well, School of Pharmacy Teaching Labs as well, Allison, UKDRI, UCL Respiratory, Wedderburn Lab, WLDI Skin Lab, and Central BSU. There. I know a lot of you are here. Say thanks. That's it for our teams. I'm going to hand back to Richard. Thank you very much for the Leaf teams.
Great. Firstly, thank you, Martin and Chiara, and also well done to all of the teams who've taken part in Green Impact and Leaf this year. I think we're going to have a think about how do we do the awards next year with so many teams stepping forward. It's always been a bit more of a challenge as we've grown in numbers, but actually it's a really nice challenge to have. Okay, the next awards we want to hand out are to those teams with outstanding sustainability plans. And as teams progress through Green Impact, over the years what we've found is teams want to challenge themselves more, do more, look at their own areas, look at their own impacts, and take action. And so increasingly teams start to move away from Green Impact and start to think about developing their own sustainability plan with their departments, with their particular divisions. And really this is in recognition of those divisions, departments who developed what we think are outstanding sustainability plans this year. We have 4 teams who we want to recognise. I'll say a little bit about them first, and then perhaps again if we can get those teams to just step forward. Our 4 teams are the Students' Union, the Ucl Accommodation Team. Yeah, I knew... Hey, just sit down a little bit first. Yeah. You can't hide her glee at this. The Bartlett team, and it will probably come as no surprise to you that PALS are also in there. Yeah, you can step down as well. Right, let me say a little bit about it. So the Students' Union, I think, have done some outstanding work over the course of this past year. What the Students' Union have done is they came to us as a team probably a couple of years ago and said, we want to be the most sustainable union in the country. It's quite ambitious to say that, but they've started on that journey. Firstly, they've started putting together their own management system to try and drive and integrate sustainability into the way they operate. student engagement is key to them delivering sustainability across what they do. And so there's a number of things they've been working on. They've helped us with our Sustainability Week 28, or Sustainability Month, 28 days of sustainability. They've also helped to establish the Sustainability Council, which is the first in the country where students have a voice. They can start challenging both their union and also their institution. And actually putting power into those students to be able to challenge us has been really important to us. So Students' Union, we want to honour them. The second team, because I work so closely with them, the Ucl Accommodation Team, this has also been outstanding. What I think is really important with any team taking this on board is getting engagement with their leadership team. So the senior leaders of the accommodation team have said, we want to drive this forward. We want this to be taken seriously within what we do. They've started auditing their buildings, really understanding where they have impacts. They're looking at really sort of driving a waste programme within the accommodation. And I think one of the things that actually is really important for me is, we get a new cohort of students going through the halls every year. Every year, students throw lots of stuff out, a new group come in and they buy lots of new stuff. Actually, what we really want to do is try as much as possible for the new students to come in and take some of the stuff from the old students and reuse it. So actually, we're saving money for those students. We're giving them materials, things that they can use as part of their own sort of growth and development and moving away from home. So well done to the UCL Accommodation Team. The third team is PALS, and I think I stand up here probably for 8 of the 10 years I've been doing this and saying what an amazing division this is. It is an amazing division, and it's amazing because what they do is they not just drive change themselves, but they look at the opportunity to help us as an institution to drive change. They helped us to create the Powered by Plants programme, which now a lot more departments are using. They've also created their no-fly zone programme, where they're challenging themselves around business travel. And actually what's really important here is starting to see themselves as part of the bigger team within the faculty, so helping the faculty to set up their own sustainability committee. So again, massive well done to the PALS team. And then the final team is the Bartlett. And the Bartlett set themselves a goal to be net zero by 2030. And again, the things that they've been doing have very much been around structural changes, looking to understand their baseline, looking to understand where they can make changes within the team, setting up their own governance so that they can kind of take control of their impacts. What I also really like about this is recognising that the Bartlett have a lot of internal knowledge with their research community that they can draw on. So increasingly they're looking at how they use their researchers to help drive the change that they want to create. So I want to say well done and invite those teams up to the front for their photos. Okay, we'll get in there and then we can get out for some food. We've got 5 special awards, which we've been running, I think, for now the past 4 years. These are in recognition of individuals and teams in terms of some of the things that they've been doing across 5 specific categories. The first award is for a staff award for an outstanding commitment to sustainability. And what we want to do with these awards is we want to recognise those individuals who've delivered something outstanding for the institution, but we also found it very difficult when we do the judging for these awards not to recognise 1 or 2 other individuals who actually have done some outstanding things but can't quite achieve the winner's medal as such. So we've created this highly commended category for these awards. The first award, the staff award for outstanding commitment, we wanted to recognise the work of Zarina Ghani. Zarina Ghani as highly commended, so congratulations. So Zarina has formed a team to promote sustainability in mechanical engineering. She's enrolled the lab in the LEAF program, and often this is what happens. You know, it's down to individuals who recognise that they can create a change and drive the change into their areas. Submitted for the Bronze Award, and really sort of Zarina is focusing on sustainability as part of her PG and or undergraduate and postgraduate research projects. So well done, Zarina. Our winner for the Staff Award is Wesley Knapp. So Wesley, and I know you're in the room. This has been something that's been dear to my heart since I arrived at UCL. You know, the thing is here, we spend an awful lot of money on stuff, whether that is lab equipment, furniture, stationery. We spend so much money on it, and actually a lot of that stuff could be reused, and we don't reuse more than enough, more than we should be doing. Wes works with our estates teams. What Wes has been doing is he's been looking at really furniture reuse primarily, but increasingly starting to think about reuse of a lot more materials that we can bring forward as part of projects. So Wesley has been driving our furniture reuse program using some tools that we have, identifying and auditing buildings before we start projects to see what we can reuse, safeguarding that material, and then working with the project teams to bring that material forward as part of the new projects. So, the winner of this category, Wes Knapp. Right, let's move on to the Student Award for Outstanding Commitment to Sustainability. And we have two highly commended awards to give out for this. The first is for Tricia Feliciano, and Tricia has led the Planetary Health Report Card application for the last 2 years, working with students, staff, NHS colleagues to complete in-depth metrics and improve wherever possible. And through the work that Tricia has taken forward, she's introduced sustainability into UCL teaching labs, joined working groups, and given feedback into the NHS sustainability systems. So well done, Tricia. Our second highly commended, it goes to Vania Kapoor Ashutan. And Vania is the founder and second-term president of the Animal Rights Society at UCL, which is the second biggest student society related to sustainability at UCL, with 169 members. Vania has founded the Plant-Based University campaign, run over 20 universities, and has mobilised over 300 students, with the ultimate objective of having universities transition to 100% just and sustainable-based plant catering. Well done, Vania. Our winner for the Student Award for Outstanding Commitment is Mukund Hari Nathani. Mukund has led the UCL TEDx Society, and a part of that he's made sustainability core to the work of that particular society, including the sort of TEDx UCL conference, which is really focused on sustainability. Now, the power of TEDx is immense. You know, actually what Mukund has done is got a lot of people kind of coming online, listening to the presentations through TEDx, but it's also through their YouTube channels, which TEDx have uploaded our conference material on, that we have the greatest power to influence. 34.9 million users on that particular channel. So, well done to Mukund. Okay, next award is for Sustainability Education Award. And this award goes to members of staff or postgraduate students who have integrated sustainability education into either formal or informal informal education. The highly commended goes to Dr. Lorenzo Lotti. And Lorenzo, just a round of applause. Actually, Lorenzo, I don't think everybody saw you, so you might want to just stand up again. So I met Lorenzo probably about 3-4 years ago, and his students were really interested in thinking about how they tackle some of UCL's challenges through the work they're undertaking with Lorenzo. And he said, could we look at recycling around UCL and maybe apply some of our behavioural theory to the way we undertake recycling? And actually, it's through some of the work that Lorenzo has been doing with the students, really kind of thinking about this as a living lab project, that we've been able to learn so much as an institution about why people recycle, why they don't recycle, and what we can do differently to our recycling approach. So, Lorenzo, thank you so much for all your work. The winners for the Sustainability Education Award are the PCPH Primary Care Medical Education Team. And it's this team that created an innovative primary care curriculum at UCL that aims to build future practitioners and leaders that can advocate planetary health measures on a population level and lead systems change through quality improvement and innovation to achieve net zero NHS. Congratulations to the PCPH Primary Care Medical Education Team. Okay, next award is for sustainability research, and this award is given to researchers whose contribution to the environment and or society has created the greatest positive impact. Now we've got again highly commended, and this goes to Dr. Jing Meng. Dr. Jing Meng provides academic leadership in innovative interdisciplinary research, which applies quantitative approaches to link economic growth to environmental sustainability. Since 2016, she is committed to producing transparent and robust data for the climate change research community, CEAD, and advocating open access and data sharing. And CEAD is an official data source for the Chinese government reporting on national and provincial peak emissions and reaching carbon neutral targets. And it's through that the International Energy Agency and the United Nations Environmental Report adopted CEAD's data for China's national inventory. Amazing. Well done to Dr. Jing Meng. Excellent. Our winner for the Sustainability Research Award is Professor Sanjay Cecidia. And I met the professor probably 2 or 3 years ago and read through his brief. I think he was one of the judges for one of our panels. He's got an outstanding career, but his research is focused on epilepsy. And he's established a global consortium, the Epilepsy Climate Change, of neurologists, scientists, nurses, representatives from industry and charities supporting people with epilepsy as a global initiative to foster research, raise awareness and share knowledge. It's since established at UCL, the UCL Neuroclimate Consortium, a cross-faculty initiative at UCL, including climatologists, neuroscientists, neurologists, pharmacists, architects, and again, aiming to develop and undertake research in climate change impacts across neurological diseases. So, let's congratulate our winner. Is he online? Fantastic. Winner, Professor Sanjay Cecidia. Our final award is for sustainability impact, and this focuses on the work of teams and or societies at UCL who have undertaken an environmental or social initiative which contributes to our signature campaigns. Our highly commended team is the Institute of Education Student Support Team. And I really want to kind of to draw out some of the things of this, because reading through this last night, I thought this is amazing. So the support team ran several projects for staff and students during this academic year to draw attention to sustainability, really to make a positive impact with the students' experience by bringing sustainability central to that experience. The student support team recruited a sustainability officer who worked with the team on a changemaker application, and they secured some funding for that. And that was to enable them to run a program and a campaign to encourage students to make small changes around sustainability. It comes back to the point that the Provost was making earlier. It's through small changes that ultimately lead to the bigger changes that we want to see within our society. They also ran the Grow Together campaign, which they created with student plant buddies community. They facilitated check-ins and meetings to talk about plants, gardening and mental health and well-being. And they've connected over 500 students through the work of the team. So well done to the Institute of Education student support team. Our winners. Silence. So the winners for the Sustainability Impact Award is the UCL Logistics team. And look, I feel again quite a big connection to this because when I wrote my opening presentation last night, one of the things I was going to say is when I arrived at UCL, the thing that really annoyed me because I come from the Olympic project. We've done some amazing things on the Olympic project, but what we did really well was make sure that we didn't have lots of vehicles coming to the park, lots of vehicles on the local roads, create lots of disruption, lots of disturbance, lots of pollution. We actually managed our contractors so that we actually had a really streamlined logistics service coming into the park, delivering the goods and service we needed to build the stadia for the Olympic Games. It was really slick. And then I came here, and it's the first thing I saw as I was walking around here was on Mallet Place. Mallet Place was like a parking space for anybody who could get free parking in London. It was ridiculous. I asked the person who I was walking around with at the time, what's going on here? Who's all these cars and vans with? And he said, I don't know. They just come in here every day and park up. I was like, what? Why are they doing that? So we started saying to estates, you need to have something which actually starts to manage vehicles coming to campus. You need to have a way in which we can begin to reduce the number of vehicles we've got coming. Then we can start to look at the number of suppliers we've got coming to campus, maybe starting to think about only bringing our suppliers through one particular route way, dropping off, maybe delivering across the campus in a more slick and a more effective way, so that actually we can start to reduce our local environmental impact in terms of pollution, but also actually we can start to see a saving, because the less number of vehicles you've got, actually you lower some of your transport costs related to your suppliers. So the logistics team was set up. The logistics team, working with the postal team, they're brilliant. They've got an amazing team out there. They've reduced the number of vehicles coming to campus by, and I'll just get the figure here, 9%. 90% of vehicles. It's outstanding that we had so many vehicles coming here, and we've just cut that. What they're also now doing is helping us to think about how do we manage our suppliers into the campus to make sure actually we are using our materials better, we understand what materials are coming to campus, we understand where it's going around campus, we begin to kind of challenge our suppliers in actually what they're bringing to the campus. So actually over time we can start to reduce both our costs but also kind of the amount of material that we purchase and therefore the amount of material that we use. And therefore, the winners for the Sustainability Impact Award is the UCL Logistics team. I cannot believe we've done this, but actually I think we might be finishing on time. I'm getting the nods from the team. So, firstly, I want to thank everybody here for coming along to join us, and online as well. Wonderful to see everybody in person. It really is. It's great to be back on campus. I want to thank our two speakers. As I said after the speeches, they're here to challenge us. They're here for us to think about kind of the change we're making and also to take that back to our departments, our divisions, to help drive the change that we want to try and drive as an institution. So thank you, Leanne, and to the Provost. when I joined UCL, I come from, as I've already said, come from the Olympics. I think we did a brilliant job on the Olympics, and I was really amazed at being part of that project. I will say this, I joined UCL because of the opportunity that UCL, I think, has. It's got an amazing community of people. It always brings a shiver to my skin when I say this, but actually, the thing that I love about being in a university like this is when you talk to people, people are really committed to wanting to try and drive change. And that makes me really proud to be part of this team and to lead this team and to lead the work that we're doing on sustainability. I think today is almost a demonstration of what we have as a community here around sustainability and what we're trying to drive forward. And I encourage all of you to build on what you've done this year and contributed to us this year. It's been amazing. So thank you so much. I want to see more teams here next year. We'll work out a slicker way of handing out the presentation and the awards. Right, go and have some food. I'll tell you what the instructions are. Lunch is served on the Wilkins Terrace. The weather is fine, I've been told. Take all your belongings, because I believe this room is going to be used afterwards. So if you don't mind, we'll go through. Can we go through that door? We can go through that door. And also, certificates will be picked up. Okay, so certificates will be outside as well, and also, as Hannah's just said, if you want your photo taken, go all the way downstairs, there's a big U, and we'll have the photographer ready to take your photos as teams. Thank you so much.